let's just start with the foundation of the question: how to create 2019 without wasting another year. Okay. Um, if you study the brain and success and neurology, the brain doesn't care about your goals. Let me say that. The brain doesn't give a rat's ass about your goals, what it means. It has no idea of what it is. What it's trying to do is, number one, it's trying to get you to survive. Then it's moving to what's called a teleological mechanism, and then in getting it to accomplish something. So if you're looking at your goals, you're looking at where you're sitting and where you want to go, the directions you want to get to in 2019. Most people, to be very honest with you, are setting up goals and systems that they continue to set up every single year. And they get to January 1st and they say, oh my God, I'm going to set up these New Year's resolutions. Things are going to be amazing. I'm going to go do amazing things and I'm going to go make a difference in the world. And they live the same freaking life and do the same things over and over and over again. And they say, well, why hasn't my life changed? And like the corporate world or the working world, they expect just because you've been alive longer that you should be able to achieve more. And it just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way, because just because you have lived more doesn't mean you've learned more. You could be stuck in the same emotional processes that you've been stuck in for a very long time that are keeping you playing small, keeping you not living and not growing to the levels that you want to. So when you look at your goals in 2019, I want you to look at yourself, because everyone says this, and I see 2019 is going to be an amazing year. It's going to be fantastic. The truth is, like, you hear my Mickey Mouse voice, but the truth is, for most people, it's the same freaking year that they lived in 2018. They're just a little bit more older and they have more gray hair. That's how it works for most people. It doesn't have to, but that's how most people end up living it, because what happens is that they haven't gone through and figured out what it's really going to take. And I say this often, but I'm going to say it again because it's so important at this point of the juncture. If you're looking at 2019 and saying, I'm going to wait till 2019 to set it up, I'm looking at 2019 and January is going to come and it's going to be different. If you haven't already set the intentions and the processes in place, you're already behind. You're already behind the 8 ball because you haven't connected to where you need to go. If you're waiting for January 1st, Chuck, good to have you on here. Tennille, good to have you on here as well. Jolene, good to have you on here. Tim, good to see you as well, buddy. If you're waiting for 2019 to show up, to sit and plan it, to set it up in intention, you've already disassociated and are going to be running behind the 8 ball. There's no question about it, because your consciousness can't create in a state of reaction. I hope you get that. Your consciousness can't create in a state of reaction, because what it's doing, it's playing backwards. And you're working from the state backwards, trying to figure out how to move forward, but you can't. So you're looking at it and saying, okay, well, let me create in 2019. Let me put together these goals. Let me put together these plans, these actions. And everyone knows the beat. You know, I'm going to set these goals. I'm going to work towards it. I'm going to get this. That's great. Look, if it was going to work, it would have already worked. That's the truth of it. And I'm a little bit testy on this stuff because I've done all the stuff out there. I've done the planning things. I've done the engagement things. I've done, making 2019 or the next year amazing, setting the goals, the calendars, and setting the intention, and then letting them go. And I've done all that stuff. The truth is, none of that really works in that format, because unless something is really completely congruently aligned to you, it's never going to move towards that direction as it is. Most people, when they set goals in 2019, they're setting it up for the things that they need, not the things that they actually inspire to attain. Let me say that again. Most people will set up goals on things that they need, not things that they aspire to attain. Because if they're looking to actually be inspirational and move towards that, they're not going to have the same push that they think that they're going to need to have. So what I mean by that is this. I know it was a little bit confusing the way I said that. If you're setting up a goal and a format and a structure that is of need basis, it's a lower set of the brain. You're working from a reactive state of the brain. And if you're working from a reactive state in the brain, you can't create in reaction. I hope you're getting that, because I'm saying that 3 times now. You can't create in reaction. You respond in reaction. So if you're responding in reaction, then you're stuck in that place. And you're stuck in a position where you won't be able to move forward. And you're stuck in a place where you're now living there saying, sorry guys, I had a new computer and some virus protection thing came up on it. you're stuck in that state of reacting. You don't create from reaction. So most people, when they set goals of looking at 2019 or the following upcoming year, they do it based on the things that they fear of actually attaining. So most people set goals in fear. And when they set goals in fear, the energy, the frequency of that is necessity. Necessity breeds more necessity. It doesn't breed abundance. So you don't actually move towards that direction. You don't move towards the idea of creating more in your life. What you do is you stay stuck in the position you're in. You don't realize this, but neurologically, you're just playing in the reciprocal battle of that same emotion, trying to live and go through it over and over and over. That's why people set goals and then they fall apart, right? They think they set goals. Most people set goals that are fantasies, and statistically, by the time they hit January 1st to January 30th, it's done. You know this. This is not new. That's not rocket science. But the challenge with this is how do you set something that sustains? Because it's December 30th right now. I can promise you, most of you who are watching this, most, not all, may not remember the actual goals that you set up last January. That's an inkling to you that they're really not your goals. Because number one, I always say this, is that your goals have to be, number one, value-centric. They have to understand they're for you. And if you're setting goals and intentions and not getting clarity on who you are in your goals, then you're falling apart. If you're subordinating your life to someone else's goals and someone else's path and process, you're in essence enabling them and disabling yourself. And when you disable your goals, your brain and your body and your intuition is giving you feedback to wake you up, to get you authentically aligned to who you are. But society, people, places, and your ego has negated that and stops you from actually being authentic to live your own goals. And what it does, it keeps you stuck in the place living someone else's goals. And you keep continuing to think that you want more of that when it's not really who you are and what you want to be. And what you end up doing is you create the emotions of guilt, shame, and resentment towards yourself and judgment towards yourself that stops you from moving forward in your goals. I hope you get that, because it's not authentically you. Because when you get this, when you get value-centric and understand who you really are with your values, clarity shows up. You start moving independently on those things. You're already doing those things, but you give yourself permission to live in your own values. You give yourself permission to move towards the things that you want. If you don't, then you're literally limiting where you're going, what you're doing, how you're getting there, and you create your own chaos because of that. Your values is one of the most important, and I know there's a lot of conversation about values in the marketplace. True values are not loyalty, honesty, social stuff. That's not true values. Those are social idealisms. True values, what you truly value, sits in what's called the pulmonary region of the thalamus in your brain. And when you access it, you actually get engaged, and it turns you on, and it wakes up your light bulb to say, oh, shit, this is who I am. I see it. And it's congruent because your life is demonstrating this and it's showing you this. When it's not, you're living in other people's ideals and other people's projections. I'll give you an example of this. I was speaking to a group of Nigerian bankers last week. Brilliant group, really, really intelligent corporate executives. I mean, we're talking CIOs, CEOs, cybersecurity, like really high-level people. And when I presented this idea and this concept, it created a lot of chaos. It created a lot of disassociation to them in understanding what their values were, neurologically associating to it. And people don't realize this. They think you're even high level, really high level people think that your values are yours, but they're not. For most people, they're living someone else's. And when they live someone else's values, they create this internal chaos. So they set goals and intentions that are somebody else's, not theirs. And what that does is this. It creates them to beat themselves up. It creates them to feel anguish. It creates them to feel frustrated. And what they're doing is, instead of spending time with their family and their kids and their loved ones, what they're doing is they're stuck and they're sitting there living and they're working on, they're checking their phones. They're always trying to move towards something. They haven't set up the delegation systems because it's not in their alignment of who they are. And their kids are saying things like, Mom, Dad, spend time with me. When do we get to hang out? Their girlfriend, their spouse, their husband, their wife is saying, when do we get to spend time together? Because all they're doing is just running towards something else. The more you try and get towards something, the more you're going to lose yourself in the process. Creation is about creating and discreating at the same time. It's about mastery of who you are. It's about mastering the life that you actually are designed to live rather than trying to live someone else's life. And most people don't set, number one, value-centric goals. And number two is that they don't set them objectively. They set up these fantasies for themselves. And when you set up fantasies, I want you guys to hear this, is that you're going to bring chaos into your world. I see this all the time. People who set up chaos fantasies bring chaos into their life. And what they're doing is they're always pushing towards their goals. Excuse me, don't be deluded. People who are pushing towards goals are the ones who are not creating. They're pushing towards them, creating chaos at the same time. They're not really creating the world that they want. What they do is that they continually work, they get hungry, they strive, and what that does is causes stress and burnout, cortisol increase. Physiologically, what that does is creates chaos inside of their physical system. They burn out, they crash, they get colds, they get flus, and what they say to themselves is, I'm just working too hard. Okay. If you say that you're working too hard, the goal isn't yours. It's a pretty bold and ballsy statement. Because if the goal is really yours and it's value-centric, you have more energy towards it. You have more enthusiasm towards it. You don't feel burnt out. You feel inspired and enthusiastic towards it. You don't feel tired and fatigued. You feel moving towards it. If you don't feel like you need to take breaks towards food and eating and gluttony and sugar, you just keep staying on the path that you're on because you understand and you don't need that food. Most people eat too much because of boredom and they want to get it as a distraction. But if you get this right and you actually get objective and stop saying the fantasies, you'll find that the day has far more energy and enthusiasm than needed. You'll get up with a spruce in your step. You won't be burned out. You won't be fatigued. You'll move towards it. And when you get that, your practice, your business, your life, your whatever type of business you're in, if you're a doctor or a direct salesperson or just an entrepreneur of any sort, your business begins to align itself and it becomes more enthusiastic. And when your frequency goes up, the people around you's frequency goes up. When their frequency goes up, the energy changes, and now customers come to you, and you don't have to keep pushing and marketing towards them. It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. It's harder. I'm not saying you don't market. I'm saying you don't have to struggle to market. You do it because you love to do it, not because you have to do it. It's funny. I remember early on in my career, in my life, back in my practice days, as much as I loved my practice, I mean, I had to bring energy all the time and enthusiasm all the time. And it was great. It was fantastic. I loved it to a degree, but I was on a lot of coffee and stimulants and trying to keep all that energy up. Today, I barely eat, and I have more energy than I ever did. Today, I eat like one meal a day, and it's like as much raw food as possible. I don't drink anymore. I don't do any of that stuff that used to weigh me down. Now I do less of that, and I'm more inspired to do what it is and teach and serve you guys in the capacity that I do. So when you truly get objective with the goals and the things that you want and break away from the fantasies, you'll find yourself moving in far more inspiration and not needing all these things to bog you down. Let me know if that makes sense. Give me some hearts, some love, some comments, some questions as I'm going through this. So if this is making sense to you guys, because if you get this, it will change the trajectory of how you set up 2019, and it can change the trajectory of how you're setting up your life. Because if you don't, it can cause a lot of just circular chaos for yourself. So the other thing I tell people, I recommend very highly, is that you make sure you release the past traumas that you're holding on to. If you've had traumas, chances are that's what you're setting goals towards. So let me give you an example. Someone who's lost their family is going to set up a goal to set up a happy family. And this is a reactive necessary need rather than a true inspirational calling. So if you don't release the traumas that hold you back, it in essence prevents you from moving forward in the direction that you want to, because it becomes a cyclical cycle of fear. I'll give you an example of this. I had one of our clients last year. She was at the creation seminar, and she'll be there this year as well, from what I understand. But she had a trauma that was holding her back. She spent almost $60,000 in therapy. And at the creation seminar, I literally in 22 minutes, just destroyed it. It was done. And she went from trying to achieve a goal that she wasn't able to achieve for 25 years of her life. And 3 months after that, creating it, boom, and now she's at the level she wanted to be. She met her income of where she wanted to grow to. And she matched her best year in like 3 to 4 months of clearing the stuff from the creation seminar. And after that, her income was all a profit from there. Because the traumas of your past create the chaos that you want in the future. Let me hear what I'm saying. The traumas of your past create the chaos of the future. Because whatever level you're stuck at, whatever you're seeking, is what's avoiding you, because you're addicted to the idea of it. And if you're addicted to the idea of what it is you think you want, you run away from it. It pushes away from you. It doesn't come to you. Most people think, well, I'll just sit and meditate and it'll just magically show up. The Secret did a great job in painting this picture of life that you just sit and it just magically shows up. It doesn't work that way. Never has, never will. But it's a wonderful fantasy that people want to buy, and a wonderful fantasy that people want to buy into, but it just doesn't work that way. True creation is about setting the path, setting the intention, the disintention, the formulary behind it, and understanding how to do that. If you do, you literally can transform the course of the life you're living and transform the course of this path you're putting on yourself. But the traumas, if they're there and they're not cleared, they get you stuck and they keep you stuck there. I had a lady last year. She was setting financial goals, and just a great human being. She'll probably watch this video. She's in the group. She's pretty active in the group. Great human being. She was in the. She sat there, and a trauma came up in her life, and a trauma that was holding her back, and for about 32 years of her life. And literally inside of this, in the group, 8 minutes, went and destroyed it. And she said, she started crying, and I was like, oh crap, what do I do now? I was like, oh my God, what do I do? Jeez. But her legs pain disappeared. And she's like, since this event that happened to her when she was 12 years old, she's had leg pain. And that leg pain was gone. And it literally just disappeared after that. Because when you actually get your mind clear and get grateful for the traumas of the past that you actually get to see that the universe is trying to wake you up to, you don't have these things holding you back. Symptoms are the feedback mechanisms that are trying to get you aligned and congruent to who you are. But if you're not paying attention to them, you'll take drugs and medications and continue the chaos that you're in. As far as I know, I haven't talked to her in a while, but as far as I know, that leg pain is gone. I had another doctor who was there, and this doctor has been trying to achieve these goals of his business for the last 10 years of his life. And literally this year, I just talked to him 2 weeks ago, his income almost went two and a half times what he did. And all he did was a creation seminar. So I'm sharing this with you because in there, we literally, I sat there, and this is one of my dear friends as well, literally went in there and cracked the trauma that was holding him back, and it was related to his father. See, we think that our business is just our business. And we think that we don't bring emotions along into our business. This is the greatest delusion corporate America has, is that if you're a person, you're bringing your emotions to it. If you're a person that is looking to set 2019 up, you are bringing the emotions of the last however long your life has been living to 2019. If you don't navigate that, if you don't figure out how to process through that, you're bringing that trauma along with it. And then what happens is this, is you take up to 2017, now you compound another year of trauma on it. And then you compound another year of trauma on it. And what you do is you just keep layering more traumas onto it. And what it does, it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And so what happens is now you're stuck and you're trying to create, if you're 40, 50, 60 years old, you've got these traumas that are there that you're trying to move past and through that stop you from getting there. And so I share this with you because I want you to get and understand that if you can actually clear through these traumas, you can set 2019 with a truer intention. I don't care what your business is. People always talk about their goals and intentions with respect to money. I don't, because it's not about money. It's about impact. It's about what you're going to do. People look at the result, not what they're going to do with it. You know, I have the belief that you're here to do something with your life. And it's your job to organize your life, create your life, set it up with the intention as a co-creator, not just a victim of your circumstances, to figure out how you move forward with it. And if you can do that, you set yourself on a pretty amazing trajectory. I'll give you a perfect example. You know, people look at me, I guess, and I hate sounding this way, it's not meant to, but I set an intention for something, and I know the process. I know how to do this. I do this every year for myself. I do it all the time. And I literally wanted to get on media in 2018. I wanted to hit 100 people in the media, 100 million people, 100 people, 100 million people in the media. We did some work on it, cleared it up. That very next day, we got a call out of thin air on to get to the media and actually get to 30 million people in Canada nationally. That was my first national show ever. But it literally happened the day after I did the work that I know how to do with this stuff. So I share this with you because it is 2019. And one of my goals is to inspire people to live one of the most amazing lives that they can. That is what means something to me. And it's what I get up in the morning, I watch my kids, and that's what I hope to teach them. And I want to invite you to create 2019. Don't try and plan for it. Don't set some stupid goals that are not yours. I want you to actually create a 2019 that could be a tremendous year. And I know for people who have attended the creation seminar that it has been that for them. So I would like to invite you, and I do the seminar once a year. People say, oh, will you do it again? No, I won't. It's a seminar that I plan on doing once a year. And the people that I find are committed are going to show up. The people that are not going to show up. And that's perfectly okay. The question becomes, how committed are they for you? Is it enough of a value for you to be a part of that? I don't know that answer. That's for something for you to decide. But I would challenge you enough to say that the people that show up, their lives truly change in a very, very big way. So I invite you on December 14th, 15th, and 16th. I do the creation seminar here in Chicago. It is going to be tremendous. It's my single-handedly my favorite seminar. I get to see people walk away inspired with their life in their hands and create the life that they want. And I love hearing the stories after it. It is my favorite thing to do. So I invite you to it simply from the standpoint that, look, don't live in the same process, in the same pattern that you don't have to. Come to the event. Let me work through it with you. You have 36 hours with me to be able to do it. And it sounds arrogant. It's just not. I just know how to do this. I've just studied this more than most people have. And we'll work through, create a map and a strategy for you to get what it is that you want out of your life. And I invite you to be there. And if it's something that you think that you'd want to know, want to put value into, come to it. I'm urging you, because it's a couple weeks away. You can still buy your tickets, your flights. I think we have like 6 or 7 slots still open for it. It is a tight group. So I'm telling you right now, not all of you, if you all say, yes, I want to go, you're not all going to get there. It's a small group that I keep to it because I want to work with you to master and get through the goals that you want. And we've got, it's so important. The people in my high-end mastermind, it's a mandatory thing that they have to do. If they can't even do it, they don't even show up. They're not even part of it. That's how important I set it up. It's the foundation of their business year. So I urge you to come to it. I insist, if you're interested in building on it, I heard Bob Proctor say this once before, so I'll use it in the form, beg, borrow, steal to show up there, because it will mean a massive, massive difference. People say to me often, the investment of things, and I have to spend money. It's Christmas, it's the holidays. Yeah, it is. I know personally I have spent $731,000 as of now. By the end of this afternoon, it'll be $735,000 into my brain, and I wouldn't change a thing about it. I wouldn't change a thing about it. I spend more money on learning and knowledge from myself and other people and other books, strategies, seminars, video courses. That's what I do. I learn. So I can bring it back and help you guys create the lives that you want. That's what I've wanted to do. And I think it's been a valuable investment for me to be able to help and teach my kids. I was speaking with one of the CEOs at this conference, and the CEO said, where did you learn this information? I said, for years, this is what I've wanted to do. Understand how to create and live within this thing, and not as a reactor, but in order to build this life that I wanted to build, and be able to, more importantly, is to be able to teach it to my kids. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to teach my kids so that they can master their life. And that's really the roadmap. My kids will be in the seminar there. They will be sitting there doing the work like everyone else. I'm not one of these guys that puts on a seminar and keeps my kids away from it. No, the seminar is actually put on for my kids. And they're a part of it. They're learning. They're doing it. My daughter may be stuck studying for finals. She's in those years of her life. My son will be there doing the work. I promise you, he'll be sitting there right in there doing the work with us. So I invite you to be a part of it. If you're interested, someone will post the link here. Someone from our team will post a link here. If you have questions, hold on. Let me see if there's any questions in here. I'm happy to answer them. Jackie, good to have you on here. Zanaid, good to have you. Noreen, good to have you. Irene, good to have you. Dermot, good to have you here. Mike, good to have you. Lisa, what you're doing? Okay, Lisa's asked me, what if you love what you're doing, but chaos is still reigning? I question that, because if you have chaos still ensuing, it's probably not what you truly love. It's what you perceive to be love. Chaos is going to exist when things are in disorganization. It's death physics. Chaos leads to death physics. Entropy is death physics. It's chaos. Negentropy and organization, and syntropy is organization. Most people's minds are in chaos because of the emotions, which is why if you're not living in your highest values, you have more emotional chaos. If you have emotional chaos, chances are you're doing things that are lower on your value tasks that you need to delegate, move towards, and move on upwards. I hope that answers that. Lisa, how can you identify the trauma holding you back? You will know it. It sits there. Your trauma, it'll come up to you. If I asked you, what do you think is holding you back? You're going to tell me, because you know it. Because the mind intuitively is trying to balance it out. The brain is intuitively trying to balance that out inside of you to get you to that next place so it can be done with it. But you, in your conscious, in the animal brain, get stuck. Not you as the individual. You as a human being, we get stuck. And this is what's been taught to us. Until recently, we didn't know this information. We as a species didn't have the access to be able to change this stuff. But your intuition is going to give you that information, and it's trying to get you to see that, to balance that out. But as human beings, we didn't know that, and now we understand that, and that's how we're creating these amazing results. That's how people who get raped in literally 6 minutes, we can destroy it. People who have nightmares, literally gone in minutes at a time, because we now understand how to create that organization inside of the mind, inside of the brain, how it really works. You're not an effect of the symptoms that are sitting there. Maybe as the older generations, but as a species, as we evolve, we know more about this stuff. And we know more about the brain today than we ever have. So I recommend highly that you look at these traumas that are trying to stop you back, holding you back. Jackie says, I've seen what you've done with someone in my company, and he's now $1 million earner. Yes, he is, Jackie. And the next $2 million earners are, I work with them privately as well. So, and some of them may be at this creation seminar. I'm just saying. Some of them may be there. So I recommend they show up to the high level thing. So I recommend, if you're interested, you try and get there, because it's where the winners play. That's kind of what I like to say with it. So I recommend that to you. If you have any other questions, I'll stay on here for another 10, 15 seconds. If I see any questions come up, please feel free to ask. But, you know, it's amazing. I'll share a quick story with you. As in all these travels and all these things, I was talking to my brother last night. And he said, man, you've been putting on the miles. You've been traveling. You've been doing this stuff. And I said, I have. And he said to me, he goes, well, this is what you wanted. This is what you created. I said, I know. He goes, do you regret it? And I said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I love every minute of it. I love being able to travel and going over and teaching people. And it looks like we're going to be going to Nigeria and then Dubai and Bombay and doing work globally, which is what I've always wanted to do. Do I regret it? No. Does it come with challenges? Absolutely. Am I inspired to deal with those challenges? Absolutely. For sure. I don't turn away from them. I love them. It pushes me to get better. See, most society is looking to run away from challenges, run away from things that inspire them, and they want things to be easy. Don't look for things to be easy. And, you know, as the old Jim Rohn quote is, don't look for things to be easy. Look for yourself to be better. I don't like that. It's not really about being better. You are perfect in the way that you are. Don't look for things to be better. Look for yourself to be inspired, and you won't have to call them a challenger or something that is going to weigh you back. You're going to see it on the way, not in the way. So can you do that with your life? Can you see your life as something that goes on the way? Can you see your life moving towards something? Is the challenges taking you towards where you want to go? Jackie's asking me, where do you get the information from? If you're talking about the creation seminar, there's a link posted here in the group, in this chat. And you can get the information from that if you're referencing that. It's a small group. I invite you to it. But, you know, I looked at my kids this weekend when I was talking to my son, And he said, Dad, you're busy. You're doing some amazing things with your life. And I said, son, all I can tell you is this, is that if I do everything I can with mine, and I learn the tools and the strategies, I'll give you permission to do that with yours. And to me, as a father, I bring my fatherly side because it's one of my highest values. It's the thing that as a father, that I want to leave behind for my kids, to do everything that they can with their life. And I feel as a father, it's my responsibility to make sure that I give them every tool and strategy that I possibly can. That's it. That's really what it is. People look and say, well, I want to get my children educated, and I think that's important, but I want to give them the tools to navigate through life grander than just a degree. And I'm not against a degree or an education or any of that, but I'm just saying, for me, that is the most important power that I can give my kids, my daughter and my son. And to me, that's what it's about. And if you can inspire yourself to live within your values and to who you are, you give others permission to do this. Otis is saying that I personally shared the stage with Alok, and he's amazing. And Otis is a great friend and a mentor and a dear friend of mine. I'll share with you guys this amazing story that happened. This just past week, and Otis was there, and that's why I kind of instilled this. When you know the truth and you understand the truth, you transcend the paradoxes of the challenges that are in front of you. Anything that you're calling as a problem is only a problem because you haven't transcended the paradox of it. And so what I mean by that is this, is I was doing this speech and to a group of Nigerian bankers, and they do things differently. They do things, they're aggressive and they want to voice their opinions and strong. And it takes some pretty strong conviction to be able to do kind of what I did with respect to it. I literally was talking with all these CEOs, CIOs, and I said, I'm not here asking, you can believe what you want to believe. And I share this all the time. You can believe whatever it is you want. I'm okay with that. But I'm not here to question your belief. I'm telling you, this is how it is. This is a science, not a myth, not my opinion. This is a science that if you do this, this is the outcome. If you don't do this, this is the chaos. So I say this with certainty because I want you to realize is that you can create whatever it is you want. We now have the science to do this. So, and I said this to the group in that they were like, well, I believe this and I believe that. I said, your beliefs are nothing more than your emotional traumas you're trying to navigate. I'm not here to question your beliefs. I'm not here to tell you what to believe or not to believe. I'm just telling you how this works. And if you understand that, then you'll come to it. If you don't, then you'll be stuck within it. So I say that with certainty to you guys that if you create in 2019, rather than set goals, you have a different outcome sitting there. So I don't think there are any other questions, but I hope this has been of value. Thank you guys always spending some time with me, sharing some time with me. I hope this is valuable, informational. Share this with your friends, share the group with your friends. Let them come in on this and get the information that we're trying to provide here. Because I think that if you can inspire others to be authentic, you're going to create a cascade inside of the world. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do. So I look forward to your comments, your feedback. I appreciate all of you, and much love. And hopefully I'll see you at the Creation Seminar. If not, I'll try and shoot a video for you guys next week. Have an amazing week, guys. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.